Happy Monday night, everyone. Is there such thing as a happy Monday? I guess only maybe when you're on vacation. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. But last night, Leafs were back home this time for a Sunday night Rogers hometown hockey affair against the lowly Arizona Coyotes, and I was poised for this to kind of be a slump buster kind of game against an inferior opponent. And the first period looked like it was going to be just that. The Leafs came out guns blazing, took a 1-0 lead on a Travis Dermott slap shot from the point. There was a good screen put on it, and they went to the room with a 1-0 lead, and they fired a ton of shots. And Marner alone had 6 shots. He looked like he was gonna bust loose. But despite all the action, they only took a 1-0 lead. And then in the second period, the wheels just fell off. It was just the exact opposite. Arizona took over the Leafs, let them back in, and they just all the progress they made in the first period was just erased. Arizona scored 2 goals, one early, one later in the period, to take a 2-1 lead heading into the third. And then in the third, the Leafs tied it up on Tavares' 30th goal of the season to make it 2-2 early on in the period. But just a few minutes after that, Arizona took a 3-2 lead, and that would be it. They'd tack on an empty netter when the Leafs pulled Anderson, but they just they let it get away from them. And based on the first period, I thought it was going to be a beatdown, but then it went the other way, and it's just been kind of in keeping with the way they've been playing lately. They're not playing a full 60 minutes. It's period by period. One period's great, the next sucks, and the periods that suck, it's kind of like when you're trying to get in shape and you work out for months and months and months, and you finally gain traction, you start to get in shape, and then you take 1 week off where you don't do anything, and you eat a bit of junk food, and like the whole thing's almost erased, and it takes that long again to get back in shape. It's like the Leafs. Their good periods are good, they're great, but they only score a goal or two, and then their bad periods, they get scored on a bunch of times, and it's just like the leads are erased. It's just like they can't seem to do anything right lately. So again, I'm not one to press the panic button, and I see this almost as a good thing, I guess, because every team in the league, almost, even the really good ones, suffer some sort of adversity each year, and they have a spell or two where they go through a period of games where they lose a bunch. They're not playing quite the way they should. It's just the way the NHL hockey seasons seem to go for everybody. It's nobody can be perfect every game, and guys lose confidence, guys get injured, and it's just the ups and downs of the season. So I've always thought it's best to face this type of problem kind of early to mid-season, before you get to the playoffs, and not as you're heading into the playoffs or in the playoffs. You want to get it out of the way kind of early or mid, and then work everything out. So I fully expect they are going to pull out of this. Their power play is going to get going again, and eventually they will be more like the Leafs we saw early in this season. They won't be quite like them because goals always seem to come easier at the start of the season when everybody's still getting used to, we're playing again, right? Like, and then as the season drags on, it gets harder. But I fully expect them to get back to where they were early in the season, and putting the effort in, full 60 minutes, being that more dominant kind of offensive threat. The only other, I guess, important thing from last night is that Janssen apparently has a concussion. He got kind of pushed into the boards kind of weirdly from behind. They didn't call a penalty on it. I thought it was kind of weird, but it wasn't a full hit from behind. It was kind of like a shove, and he went in pretty heavy, and it turns out he had a concussion. So I was kind of pissed off that there was no penalty, but that's the way it goes. And so I haven't heard anything more about what grade of concussion it was, and how long he's expected to be out. But he's a pretty good player for them. As the season's rolled on, he's gotten better and better, and he's one of their younger guys who I think they want to be part of their future. So it sucks that he's out, but this will just give an opportunity for Trevor Moore or whoever is going to be their call up to come up and hopefully make an impression. So, and maybe even having a new player in the lineup might be something to spark them or whatever. So yeah, so that's it. They play Washington on Wednesday, I think, so that one's going to be interesting. Because they obviously are the reigning Stanley Cup champions and will be another big test like Tampa was last week. But it's funny, the Leafs seem to sometimes play down to another team's level. Like sometimes they'll lose to Carolina or Arizona, they'll lose to Florida, but they beat Tampa, right? They kind of raise their game when they're playing a better opponent, which they shouldn't do. They should play every game, full out no matter what. Yeah, I fully expect the game against Washington to at least be a better effort. But with the way things have been going lately, I make predictions in my head, and very rarely are they right. So, but yeah, hopefully they'll right the ship soon enough, and we'll be back to banking some points and hopefully putting a bit of distance between the Leafs and Boston and Montreal and those teams that are creeping up on them. So yeah, until Thursday morning, have a great week.